Just wanted to show you guys something here on this C60 engine. I'd planned to have this started sooner than this, um, but in any event, before I actually do run this, which I might do it tomorrow possibly, but I wanted to make sure this engine's oiling system was primed. And this isn't as simple as just sticking a like one of those priming tools down the distributor hole because of the way this engine is configured. So, as your oil pump's back here on the back, what you have is this right here, this little Allen plug in here. What you do is you take this out, and that's to prime this pump. So I take my little bottle like this, and I basically just put oil in this until it fills up, starts wanting to run back out. And I come over here. I'm gonna put this to the battery, and I'm gonna spin this. I took the spark plugs out so it'll spin faster, and we're gonna make sure that we get oil going here. Once we know we got oil coming out here, then we can put the oil filter in and everything, and that way it'll prime the whole system. But we're gonna start here and just make sure we get oil coming. Let me put the flashlight in here so you can see that this is going, and hopefully, let's see, I think that'll work, maybe. Okay, here we go. So we got oil. Looks like it's working out some bubbles and stuff in it, but that's good. So we know our pump is primed. I don't know if you guys could tell from my reaction, but I was not expecting that to start that easily. That was the first start, first turnover, and it just lit right off. The timing, I figured I'd kind of have to dial that in to get it to run, but that's exactly where I stuck the distributor in, just by kind of eyeballing. I set the engine on number 1, just kind of put the distributor in, and kind of where You know, this cap, this is the original cap. It's the International Harvester distributor cap, and it has number 1 cast in it, in the plastic. And I kind of like that. It seemed like it was in decent shape. I cleaned it up. I was just going to try to reuse it for as long as I could. And but anyway, so I set this number 1 to that, kind of, you know, point in that direction. But I figured I'd still have to kind of turn on this and get it dialed in, but no. Now, I was watching oil pressure, and I didn't get oil pressure like I thought I should. That's why I didn't sit here and try and run it. And I noticed I took my filter back out, plugs back out, so it just kind of spin free. And it's like I lost my oil pump prime. Now, I primed it, run it again, and it's gushing oil just like I showed you previously. But I went over and I ate dinner, come back, did it again, it's like it lost its prime again. So I got to looking, start reading on forums, and somebody mentioned, and I kind of ran into the same thing with this on the Scout, but the gasket for the oil pump housing is like paper thin, almost thinner than paper. And somebody said, did you make sure that you used the gasket that was paper thin? I got to thinking about it. It's like I don't remember, so I went back and I watched the video before of the engine assembly, and I looked, and no, the gasket that was for the oil pump housing was that same thick material like all the other gaskets were cut from. So I'm assuming that's my problem. The bad thing is that means that essentially I have to take this engine, have to unbolt it, move it forward so that I can get the drive shaft out, take the flywheel off to be able to get the oil pump housing off and change that gasket. So that's what I'm going to do before I go any further, because if we don't have the proper oil pressure, then, you know, this thing sounded really good for like no dialing it in, you know, on the carb or the timing. It did very well. You know, you saw this smoke initially just from all the assembly lube and extra oil in the cylinders and such, but once it burned that off, it was running clean and really good. So I think it's going to be great. We just got to figure out what the heck is going on with the oil pressure.
One eternity later.
So there you go. This one, this carburetor's doing that thing again where it's just flooding itself out. So see, it's gas piling up there, so it's making it kind of hard to get it to run good and consistent. So I have to mess with that. Now, when you first start these, this was kind of my issue, was I didn't feel like something was right with the oil pressure, even though we had primed it. Didn't get oil pressure in the amount of time I felt like I should. Now, there is a delay because essentially this whole canister has to fill up before you start getting an oil pressure reading. So it's not uncommon for it to be, when you get it started, that there may be that first time a delay. But this time I could see, well, after running for a few seconds, I see it starts coming up here and we pick up pressure. I think it was about 30. It's kind of where it held at. And that's what this relief valve is kind of set to. Anything over 30 psi, it just bleeds off and lets go back into the pan. I hope this helps somebody. If you're doing one of these, you get that kit that's got the thicker gasket for their oil pump housing. Do not use it. The gasket that should be on there it's like paper thin, super thin. Once I fixed that, I primed it one time and I haven't lost the prime. Everything worked fine this time. So that does it. I think it'll run pretty good once we're going to get some of the other stuff worked out with the carburetor and such, and finish getting this thing back together. Got my kind of that centerpiece that the fenders mount to. It's right over there. It's all stripped down almost. We're getting ready for paint. It's been so cold and rainy, it just hasn't been the right conditions to paint, so that's held me up a bit. But at least it's running now. We know we got a good running tractor. We'll finish putting this thing back together. This is a new purchase. Picked this up. I'll do a video on this coming up. So if you're interested in this one, I haven't done anything with it other than drag it in here with one of the other tractors and just parked it. Haven't even looked at anything. I want to do it all on camera, so it's just sitting there waiting. This was a parts that came with this one. I bought this one and this one, which this was a 127, same as this one, both hydros. So I bought this, and it came with this. It also came with a 108 that's still in back of the truck. Parts tractor, kind of like this one. This one did have an engine in it. I've been working on just kind of stripping it down because there's not enough of it there to necessarily build it, but there are a lot of good parts on it. So this is the 12 horse out of that 127 over there. This is the 10 horse from the 109 here. So we're still working on this one. But in back of the truck, like I said, there's a 108, which should be a 10 horse, but it actually has a 14 horse engine in it. Might use that for this one. This one's kind of, I don't know. I don't have a problem with it if it's kind of a Frankenstein. This one is really nice. This is all original. Nobody's ever painted on it, which is like ultra rare, it seems. And this was kept in a shed rather than sitting outside like that one its whole life. This one was inside a shed. So, I mean, look how nice the dash is still. This is the seat off the low boy. It's just kind of sitting on there. That was the only thing wrong with it, was it needs a new seat. And body-wise, it's got a split right there in it. But other than that, it's pretty good. It does have a mower deck. Mower deck's got a few rust spots in it there, but other than that, it's good. So we'll get into this one next. I know I said the next one was going to be a non-Cub Cadet, but you just can't pass these things up. They're just too good. So, all right. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.